In this video, I'm going to continue our discussion on the EduEditor. Specifically, I will talk about how you can add images, audio files, tables, equations, and many more in your educational content. So let's get started. First I'm going to do is to open one of the projects we started earlier. So I'm going to open the sample one project. And this is what we have for the sample one project. So the question is, how do you import an image? So let's say you have a question that has to do with an image and you want to get that into your project. How do you go about it? So that's quite straightforward. So let me go to question number 10. Let me create a new question. That's question 10. And let me import an image. So I'm going to right click. To import an image, you just right click on the box where you want to import the image. But before that, let me just have a question at the top. So let's say the question says use the diagram below, the diagram below to answer the question. So in this case, I need to import a diagram. So I'm going to right click. Then I have insert. Then I have these options here. So let me start with image. So I'm going to go to where I've saved my image. So let me go to materials and let me pick one of these images. And that's it. That's how you import an image. You just right click on insert, then you click on image slash audio and you browse for the image that you want to import. Then another way you can import an image is to drag and drop. So I can do something like this. So let me go to where the folder containing the image is. Here I have materials, then images. Then I can just drag and drop. So I can have something like this, then drag it and drop it on any of the boxes. And then I have my image, right? So here's the image right here. Now, how do you tell if you've done the right thing? You can preview whatever you have here by using the preview uh, button here, menu here, and then you have your image rendered. So this shows you how the user or the candidate will see the image. So that's how you import an image. So when do you need an image? You need an image when the question is actually an image, or when you need to provide a complex content that you feel more comfortable preparing in Word document and taking a snapshot of it. So let's say you have a very complex equation. You can do that in any equation editor, convert to picture, then import it right into your project. Okay, so that's how you import. And so the next thing is, how do you import symbols? Now, aside importing images, you can have your symbols like your alpha, beta, gamma right here. You can import them or get them here. So what you do, you just insert, then you click on symbol and you'll be presented with several symbols. So you have math symbols, you have Greek symbols, and currency symbols, and so on. So let me pick, let's say, Greek symbols. If I wish to use this theta or I wish to use pi, I can click on any of those symbols, and once I'm done, I'm going to close this and continue with whatever I'm doing. So that's how you import symbols. Then what about equations? So I'm going to talk about equation table and matrix shortly. But before then, let me talk about superscript and subscript. Now to include superscript, what you need to do is just to say 2 raised to the power of, let's say, x plus 5x. So this is what I mean. If you want to create superscript, what you need to do is to have a caret, then a bracket enclosing the power. And once you have that, that becomes your superscript. So you can see that the x is raised here. Now you can have multiple power. So I can have something like, let's say the x is now having another power, raised to the power of y, for instance. So let's raise to the power of 2. So let's preview. Now you can see the preview rendering it in real time. So that's 2 raised to the power of x, which is raised to the power of 2. Now that's how you have your superscript. What about subscript? Subscript, you just change the caret symbol to underscore symbol, and that's all you need to do to have your subscript. Then another shortcut or another way you can insert superscript or subscript is, so let's say I have something like 2 raised to the power of x plus 3. So let's say you want this whole thing to be the power. You can just write, you can highlight the whole of this and you click on convert selected text, or you click on superscript rather. So if you do this, you are going to, it's going to wrap what you highlighted within the superscript. So what that means is, let's say I want to type something like 4 raised to the power of 3. Now, it means I'm going to type this caret, this open bracket and close bracket. But another way I could go about it is just say 4, then right click and click superscript. Then it's going to create the symbol for superscript. That is going to add the caret and the bracket. Then all I need is just to type the 3 inside the bracket. So it's like a shortcut for inserting a subscript or superscript. Okay, so that's how you go about subscript and superscript. So what about styling? So styling has to do with you changing the text font as text color rather, or you want to italicize the text, or you want to um, add some, want to change the text color and the like. So let's go about it. So how do you do that? So you can change, let's say I have a question like, let's say I want to highlight this particular answer. I want to style it. I will just highlight the text, then right click, then I go to style. Once I click on style, then the text I highlighted will be shown here. And now I can style it. I can just click on bold, then it's going to be bolded. I can click on italicize. I can underline it. I can add some line at the very top. Then I can cross it out and I can change the text color. So the text color, maybe I want to change it to red. And that's it. So let me remove all of this. Let me remove all of this and let me leave just the bold, and I can remove the italicize. So you can even change the background color. So let's say you want this to be wrapped, the background color of that text, you want it to be green, and that's what you're going to get. So if you check the preview, you see that whatever you're doing here, everything is reflecting within the preview. And that's how you style a text. Now, the thing you should know is once you style a text, it adds some kind of instruction around it. So all of this indicates that this text is being styled. So from here down to this point, this is where this is the code around that answer indicates the style. Then if you want to edit it, just highlight the whole thing. Then you click on style again, and you'll be free to edit the previous style that you've done. Okay, so that's how you start. But I'm going to give you another way to style things. It's some sort of shortcut. So let's say you want to bold in a text very quickly. You can just use double star. Then you type whatever you want to bold in. So let's say I want to bold in something like diagram, right? Then once you use double star, then it's going to bold in diagram. Then what about italicize? If I want to italicize it, just change it to star, then slash, then star and slash, then italicize it. Then I can also italicize and bold inside at the same time. So I can add the two shortcut, and it's going to italicize and bold. So this is like a shortcut for achieving italics and bolding text, but it's limited. It can't change the color. It can't set the background. So this should be used when you just want to quickly bolding or italicize your text. Now let's talk about tables. So how do you create tables here? Note that you can create tables in various ways. You can create your table in a Word document and convert that to image and import that here. But if you don't want to go through that route, you can also create a table here. But your table may not be as sophisticated as that of Word document, but you can have something that looks like a table here. I'm going to show you how to do that from scratch, like without using the insert and the likes. So the way table is designed is, once you have this command with caret, this curly brackets, and you have double of it. What you've just said is, hey, you want to make a table. That's basically what you've just done here with this command. So the next thing is to provide each row, right? So let's say I want a table that has to do with name and score. The name of the student and the score. The first column is name, the second column is score. So what I'm going to do is just type name, then space, score. But then I need to tell it that this is a row. So to define that this is a row, I need to start with a square bracket and end with a square bracket. So by starting and ending with a square bracket, you are indicating a row. Then how do you tell that, oh, this is the first cell? How do you partition the cell? You partition the cell by adding a vertical line. So there is this character on your keyboard, a vertical line. If you check your keyboard, you'll see that a vertical line, that is the way you separate items in a row. Okay, so now I'm done with row one. So how do I do row two? The same thing. You start with your square bracket to show that this is the second row. Then enter the value. So let's say for this first one, the name is Dan and the score is 80, right? So for the next row, so let's say the other row, the name is Femi and the score is 76. And let's say the next row, the name is Okoro, and let's say the value is 68. So let's say the next is Mike, and this happens to be 90. So now that's how you specify your table. Very easy. Now let's talk about another thing, which is what if you want to bold in maybe the name or the score? It's the same thing. You just add your bold tag, your double tab to indicate that you want to bold in any part of that cell. So that's how you go about creating your table. So this is how you create it from first principle. So another way you can create table is by using the menu when you right click. So I'm going to show you that. So this one will require you not to set all the curly brackets. So let's say have name, then you use a comma to indicate that you want to set the next cell. Then this is score. Then the next is the name. So let's say the score happens to be 80, and let's say we have Femi and the score happens to be 78. Now you're going to separate with a comma. Then the next is to turn all of this into table. And to do that, you just write, you select everything. Then you go to convert selected text to table. If you do that, it's going to wrap all those curly brackets and the likes to turn what you've just done into table. So these are another way you can quickly create table without having to set all the curly brackets and the likes. But the rule here is you must separate each item by comma. You must separate the cells by comma before you highlight and before you convert to table. Next, let me talk about how you can create matrix. So to create matrix, what you want to do is to start with a curly bracket followed by a vertical line, and then you want to end with a vertical line followed by a curly bracket. So this the vertical line indicates that you are creating a matrix. Then how do you go about setting the values? Yes, the way you set values in table. So you start with a square bracket, then you write the first number, then followed by a vertical line, then you write the second number, then you close it with a square bracket. So the next line, the same thing, 4, then vertical line 9, and you end with a square bracket. And here you have your matrix. Although this matrix looks more like a determinant. So if you want to create something that looks like determinant of a given matrix, so that's what you get with this command. Yeah. Then the next is how do you create an equation? Now equations can be done directly. So let's say you have a simple equation like 2x minus y equals 10. This is a simple equation, right? But what if you have something more complex? So let's say you have something like square roots or cube roots and the likes. Or let's say you have fractions. So how do you handle that? Although if you are comfortable with Word documents, you can go ahead and create other equations, turn them into images and import here. But in case you want to know how to create them here and you want to do that without importing images here, here's how you go about it. Now, for simple fractions, you can just take something like x divided by y and you highlight it. and you right click and you go to convert selected text to fraction. So what it does is it tries to put the x a little bit above and shifts the y a little bit downwards. So that's how you create a very simple fraction. So I can have something like this equals to, let's say 50 rather. So these are you create simple fraction. Next, we're going to talk about how to create equations. So to create an equation, let me use this simple example. So here you have 2x plus 4 equals to, divided by 4x minus 6. So let me highlight everything and then right click convert selected text to equations. So once you do that, you see that you have a very nice equation, 2x plus 4, everything divided by 2x minus 6. But in case you want to learn this using first principle, like you want to know how the code is being generated from scratch. So here is how it works. So to create an equation, the command is actually a curly bracket with a colon, right? Then that indicates that you're about to create an equation. Then you also end with a colon followed by a curly bracket. Then what defines a row? So the same way where you have this row, which is square brackets, then how do you define fraction like 2 divided by 7, for example? So to create that kind of fraction, you just have to, then to create this horizontal line, you just have your star, HL star. So star HL star, HL star means horizontal line. So the H and L indicates horizontal line. Then 7. So that creates the 2 divided by 7. So that's how you can go about creating um, your equation. So let's say you now want to create another, let's say 2 over 7 equals x over 5, for instance. Now, because x over 5 is like another cell, so in that case, you just use a vertical line to separate. Okay, you are done with the first cell. The second cell is now x over 5. But before then, let's put our equal to sign, then another cell, then followed by x over 5. So x here um, will be written as x. Then the over is now star HL, then 5. So you can see now we have this plain equation where you have 2 over 7 equals 2 over 5. So that this is how you can create equations, very simple equations and even complex ones as well. Okay, what about if you want to create square root? You understand? Let's say you want to include square root, right? So to create square roots, use you can use symbols, but symbols they don't show the squares in a very nice way. So let me try to use a symbol. So here I have math symbol. I can look for the square root symbol here. But the problem with square root symbol is if I say square root of x, that may be understandable, but if I start having, let's say, other things like square root of x plus 4, it may not be clear whether the 4 is inside the square root or not. So to have a proper square root where the horizontal line at the top covers everything, so how do you go about that? So you just use SQRT, which is square root, then bracket anything you want to put in the square root. So if you do that, it's going to turn that SQRT bracket x plus 4 into a proper square root. Then you can also use SQR, like SQR is also permitted. So it's either SQR or SQRT, depending on the version that suits you best. Okay, what about cube root? So there's cube root. So to create cube root, just um, add 3 in front of the SQRT and then type whatever you need to type, maybe y minus c, for instance, and that creates a cube root. So yes, that's basically how you create your square root and your cube root.